going on, everyone? Welcome to the newest episode of the Believe in Oregon podcast. I'm Zachary, Neel. He's Jonathan, Stewart, Jay Stu. Long time no see, man. What's up? How we doing?
I'm doing good.
I'm good.
Are your feelings still hurt about Oregon losing?
Oregon losing? No, I mean I think we're getting past it.
Like
I said last time we talked, I'm like kind of starting to believe again. I'm getting to those off-season juices. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Well, how are you feeling?
I'm over it.
Are you?
Especially after watching Ohio State win the national championship.
Yeah.
Now, see, if they would have lost, I would have thought a little bit different.
Really?
Yeah.
How come?
Because basically it would have been like, wait, how come? So they were good enough to beat us.
Uh-huh.
They weren't good enough to win a national championship. So where does that leave us? Right?
I had no concerns that they were going to beat Notre Dame. I know you flipped your pick to Notre Dame, but I had zero concerns about it.
Yeah, I was hoping more so just for the sake of making myself, feel better if I was right, that at least Notre Dame would have won or something.
It's all right. It's all right. Well, we were off last week. We had some scheduling issues that stopped us from recording, but we're now here. We are officially in the meat of the offseason with topics and storylines a bit more sparse than they were during the regular season. So we're going to have to get more creative with how we talk about football and what we like to do on this podcast. But I think that's where we're going to thrive. That's where some of our best content
we thrive. If you are here for content that keeps you thriving through your car rides, your airplane rides, sitting at the bus stop, on the playground, watching your kids play, we are the place that you would like to stop to hear about your Oregon Ducks.
Yeah, there's going to be some football
changing
talk.
Diapers.
There's been a lot of changing diapers recently. There's going to be football talk. There's going to be, Jay Stu rambling and going on some stories about his playing days that we're gonna get through. There's gonna be some golf talk, I assure you, as we get into the
definitely
spring.
Some golf talk.
I've got golf talk later at the end of this show for you. I can't wait to talk to you about it. Well, I think we've got a good way of kind of getting creative today with our topic of conversation. Jay Stu and I both have identified the storylines that are like most exciting to us through this offseason, that we're just most excited to watch play out over the next few months. That means right now, it means in spring football, it means in the spring transfer portal, and then in the summer months after that. I kind of think of it as like an off-season primer. Like, these are the things that we expect to see happen over the next few months, and this is what excites us about them. Sound good?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm also excited to talk about some of the Oregon, because I'll be doing a little bit of scouting just from the NFL side. So it's fun because some of the Oregon guys are on the radar.
Oh, you mean like the pro day stuff and all the
pro
Senior
day
Bowl.
and Senior Bowl.
So
draft.
let's talk Senior Bowl real quick, because I had this on my list later. You sent me something earlier today, and I had to double check the source because I was like, I don't believe that. Dylan Gabriel threw a pass 74.9 miles per hour today, apparently the Senior Bowl, which broke Josh Allen's record by over 10 miles per hour. I don't believe this. I'm just going to say it.
Well, I mean, if it's done, it's done. I mean, who knows, right? I guess you'll really know once he gets to the NFL Combine. But that's a good way to make a splash either way, regardless. I mean, he's up there. If something's broken, they haven't figured it out.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll know for sure at some point.
I have zero way of disproving it. I just, he's
that's
not
a cannon,
someone
by
that
the way.
I look at and I say, oh yeah, he's stronger than Josh Allen and Joe Milton, and he throws the ball harder than. It's like, all due respect to Dylan Gabriel, no.
Maybe it's all about leverage.
Oh yeah,
right?
He's got
maybe
that those short legs.
Maybe he's designed differently. That quick release.
So how hard
means he could probably throw a ball 85 yards easily, right?
That means that our offense was wildly not fit for him, because he was going for those 5-yard screens and out passes all season long. And if he could throw
first year of offensive coordinator, right? So I mean,
second year?
Second year.
He was here with Bo.
He was calling plays like it was his first year sometimes.
That's a conversation for a different day. All right. Well,
I'm all for Dan Lanning and the kids. Everybody else is all up for discussion.
Yeah. Well, we'll have those discussions over the next few weeks as well. Maybe a little bit today too.
Yeah.
We've got other stuff to get to though. On our last pod, we talked about how it was, a great time to dive into Oregon basketball season. They were ranked inside the top 15. They were playing great. Vibes were high. They then proceeded to lose 2 of the next 3 games, one of which was to Minnesota, who, all due respect to Minnesota, is not a good team. So I would like to formally apologize to Dana Altman and the team. We will continue to watch from afar and support from afar this year, but I think maybe we take a step back until they get things humming in March, and then we'll dive back in and see if we don't jinx them this time.
Yeah, hang in there, guys. We need you to be solid when it comes to March, because March Madness, I need something to watch.
Yeah, definitely do. Let's see, what else we need to talk about. We already discussed a little bit. Ohio State won. Do you have any other thoughts on that other than feeling good that they won, actually?
Yeah, I mean, they're a really good football team.
Shocker.
And I think this year, this offseason, I'm learning how to be a fan, right?
Oh,
I'm learning how to be a fan, but I'm also learning how to navigate this whole media world where I have to detach my feelings and my fanisms apart from reality. And looking back at the season, looking back at our talks and the things that I've said, and there's a lot of moments where I was absolutely right. And there's a lot of moments where I'm like, hey, look, reality is right there on the other side of the window. Just open the window, man. Let that reality breeze, smell the air, okay? Because if I were to go back and talk about the Ohio State game the first time, it would have gone something like, man, we beat those guys, but we better get our stuff in order. It wouldn't have been the cocky, yeah, we beat those guys. That's what they get. Because clearly, the gap between what they could have done better and the gap between of what we could have done better, their gap was way wider. And we played a pretty precise game, I felt like, that first time. Had a couple plays that didn't go our way, but the ceiling was way higher for them.
You know what? This shows a lot of growth from you, and I'm proud of you.
Yeah, man.
For our whole podcasting relationship, I've been the realist and you've been the dreamer. And I was like, all right, I wonder what Jay Stu's going to predict this week. What's he going to do? You know what?
Yeah.
Now I will go into next season. I don't know what you're going to predict. You may be a little bit more real than. I mean, it's not like you were crazy for predicting.
I wasn't crazy for my predictions, but it's more so my takes.
I was going to say your reasoning behind it.
I wasn't really thinking things through like a media person, like a.
You were doing
analyst.
It as a former Oregon player.
I wasn't analyzing any of this.
Yeah,
and
that's totally fair.
I'm sorry to all the fans out there that have been listening to me and getting your hopes up because Jonathan thinks that they're just going to go out there and just beat everybody. Then I'm putting all my money on I'm putting all my money on the Ducks. You better not do it.
Yeah. Well, that aside, what I'm actually really interested to talk to you about is the fact that Ohio State defensive coordinator Jim Knowles is leaving the program to go to Penn State, of all places.
Wow.
And offensive coordinator Chip Kelly is rumored to be getting NFL interest.
NFL looks.
This seems like a major, major deal. How big of a, quote unquote issue is this for Ohio State?
I honestly think one of the biggest things that's, I admired the most about Ohio State, and the reason why I felt good about them winning is the unified front that they were on. As a team, as all the players, the coaching staff. But when I saw all of their football players taking a kneel before the game started in prayer, whether you're religious or not, those are players that are on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like that's something that is player-led. So as far as the leadership front for Ohio State, if they still have their veteran leaders, some of the younger guys that are tapped in, that can go and continue the unified front that they stand on, I think they're going to still, be able to vibe, as long as they find another quarterback, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
because they still got a dog at receiver, unless he somehow safety. Leaves.
I mean, he's been reportedly offered $4.5 million to get in the portal.
If it was me, I'm out of there. $4.5 million.
Oh yeah, easily. Well, especially to me,
especially if Chip leaves. Chip leaves, I'm going too. That's my out. That's my scapegoat.
I feel like if Chip leaves, I don't think it's a big deal, because I don't think, it was a big get for them to have Chip come in from a head coach to be an offensive coordinator, but I don't think anyone really envisioned him being the OC at Ohio State for the next 10 years. It always kind of felt like this was a step in his progression. I don't know what his end goal is. I don't know if he wants to be a head coach again.
I would actually love to see Chip Kelly go back to the pros as an offensive coordinator and an offensive coordinator only.
I think that'd be great,
because I think that's where he wants to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's I'm out of the way. I'm in a dark room somewhere, and I'm coming up with a plan.
Yeah, he doesn't have to recruit. But to me, the departure of Jim Knowles, like, mobility as coordinators in college football is normal. Like, defensive coordinators are going to become head coaches. They're going to move on. Yeah. He didn't go to become a head coach, though. He went to stay at a defensive coordinator spot, and he went to one of your bigger rivals in the Big Ten just for more money. That's where, kind of some red flags raised for me. And it's like, okay, I understand Ohio State fans being upset about this, because that's not really normal. That's not a normal career trajectory.
If it was for more money, listen, these guys are getting paid a lot of money these days. And part of the reason why you part of the reason why you call a good defense or a good offense multiple times to get you to a national championship is so that way you can elevate not just the title, not just your role, but that bank. I'm here to elevate my bank, dog.
His bank has been elevated.
So if he left because he needed to go put some more money in his bank so he can feed his family, I'm with it. Yeah. Now see the head coaching positions that get switched up every now and then, that you have a little bit more duty to the program than an assistant coach. You know what I'm saying? You going into these rooms and basically promising families that, hey, I'm going to take care of your kids. And then I'm about to leave. Now that's a little different to me. Yeah. But I'm okay with, offensive and defensive coordinators switching up, because at the end of the day, like you said, that's the nature of the role, right? It's not solely dependent on one guy at that spot, offense, defense, to lead a whole entire football team.
Okay, but how do you think you would feel? How do you think Oregon fans would feel if Tosh Lupoi left to go to Ohio State or go to Penn State this year and just take over their DC job? Like, it feels... moving on feels normal, but going to a rival feels not normal.
I would feel upset, but what these fans have to understand is that college football is turning into the professional football league.
Yeah.
Okay? So my running back coach always told me, ain't no loyalty in this game besides the paycheck. Mm-hmm. So stay loyal to the paycheck.
Yeah.
Because they'll forget about you in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So the college football environment is turning into the pro level environment. So just get ready. Be upset, but understand.
Yeah, it's a sad truth. I think that's wise, though.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to turn back to Oregon football in a second, but first, a word from our favorite sponsor, Bet Online. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025.
Yes, it is.
Whether you are a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC. BetOnline is your number one source for sports betting for the new year. I looked earlier today, and the opening betting line for Chiefs versus Eagles is KC minus 1.5 in the Super Bowl. What are your thoughts on that?
Wow, that's crazy.
That's a close spread.
That's a close spread. I'm taking that for sure.
You're taking the Chiefs?
I'm taking the Chiefs. No. I'm not.
You're taking the Eagles.
I'm not taking the Chiefs.
Oh, you're going with your guy Saquon.
We want to talk football? We want to talk NFL?
Let's talk NFL. Presented by BetOnline.
I've been on multiple podcasts, radio shows this week talking about Saquon Barkley because I played with him for 1 year, his rookie year.
This is what I want to hear.
Saquon Barkley has all the tools in the shed. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying Barry Sanders is the best running back of all time.
He's the GOAT.
Okay, everybody? He's the GOAT. And the reason why he's the GOAT is because he did things that made you say, what? How'd he do that? How'd he get out of that? Man, how'd he run away from that guy? Like just the things that you question when you watch a football game or any sports event, like, man, what the heck? Like when you see LeBron James at his age, what is he, 40?
Something 40, like that.
43 or something like that. How do you take off
now?
Yeah, how do you take off from the free throw line? He's 40. He's somebody's grandfather. Almost.
Not yet.
You know what I'm saying? So stuff like that where you're just like, wow. Saquon Barkley has been doing wow things since he was in college. He's been doing wow things in the pros. He's been doing wow things for the New York Football Giants when the New York Football Giants are boo-boo skunk.
Yeah.
He is now with the Philadelphia Eagles and finally has an opportunity to showcase who he really is. And who he is who he always was.
Yeah.
A great running back. I remember OTAs, and right when we drafted him, like he comes to OTAs, rookie, he's built like me, bigger, like he's 6 foot, like his feet, everything about him just
squat a house.
It's like a created player, right? But he's out there playing catch with Odell Beckham. They're catching the ball with one hand grabs, jumping, catching it through their legs. And I'm sitting there like, wow, I can't do any of these things. I can't.
That's when you decided to retire.
Yeah, that's when I absolutely. But not just how physically gifted he is, but how studious he is. Mm-hmm. He is legitimately a historian of football. Like he knows all the players dated back in history and time. He legitimately is what you want in a football player. He loves football through and through. It was like he was raised by his dad or somebody to say, hey, son, here's a football. You're 2 years old. I know you don't know how to hold it yet, but just sleep with it every night. And eventually it'll be great. But, it's no surprise to me. This is a year that he's having. He's completely healthy. He has an offensive line. He has a city that's behind him. He has a defense that knows how to play football and basically hold guys out of the end zone so that way they can run the clock out. Yeah. Right. And then having Jalen Hurts doesn't help it helps a ton, right? Yeah. Doesn't help defenses at all. But when you have Jalen Hurts in there as a threat in the run game, but also in the passing game with A.J. Brown and Smith, they just have a lot of weapons, man. And that's what you need when you have that much talent at running back, because you just want to be able to maximize his potential and everybody else's potential. Their rhythm in that Washington Commanders game was
scary,
unheard of. I'd never seen it before.
But you know what they don't have? Patrick Mahomes, which is why I'm taking the Chiefs to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Patty Magic is
something else, man.
I've always said that I would never bet against Patrick Mahomes. And I said that last year. I said that earlier this year. And I'm betting against him.
Do it. Sounds like you're going to do it.
I'm betting against him because you know why? I want Saquon to prove to the National Football League, to college football teams, to high school football teams, to youth football teams, to arena leagues, to Canadian football, to international football, to the entire world, that you can win championships by playing defense and running the ball.
Yeah.
It'll change the landscape. I promise you. Everybody's going to be trying to get a Saquon Barkley now.
Well, you know what?
It's really hard to get. It's really hard to get a Patrick Mahomes. It's really hard to get a Josh Allen.
And it's easy to get a Saquon Barkley. No, it's one of him.
It's not easy, but you can run the ball efficiently. Okay, you can find a guy and basically build your offense like Kellen Moore has around running the rock.
Yeah. You know what I'm hearing is, here's Jonathan. Here's the window. Here's reality. Just open up that window. Get some of that reality breeze back in.
No, so the reality is that Patrick Mahomes ain't seen a defensive line like the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay?
Yeah.
Carter and them up there up front. He's gonna be running. He's gonna be running all right. He had 11 rushes that last game against the Bills for 40-something yards. He's gonna be running with a lot of intention because them boys gonna be trying to get after him.
All right. Well, it looks like this is the longest ad read that we've ever done together. Every touchdown to the three-pointer and hat trick. BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. Thank you for going on that tangent with us.
Yes.
It's always good to
BetOnline, baby.
BetOnline.
You better bet everything online.
Let's get into the meat of this episode, as we're already over 20 minutes in. It's good for us. It's off-season storyline time. Like I said, Jay Stu and I each identified our most intriguing and anticipated off-season storylines that will likely unfold over the next several months. I told you that we could go 5 each, but depending on how long these take, we might do a little bit more. I found that when I was writing these down that I had way more than just 5 to bring to the table. So we'll see what we do, but let's start off here. Why don't you go ahead and start us off?
Yeah. Mekhi Hughes.
Oh, okay. Tell me about Mekhi. What intrigues you about Mekhi?
Mekhi Hughes is from Tulane, and he is a dog. He's a dog.
Tape doesn't lie. That tape looks real good.
The tape looks really good, especially against Temple. If y'all Oregon fans want to know who Mekhi Hughes is, because again, right, Tulane, who do they play? I don't know who they play. So I looked at the Northwestern tape, Kansas State tape, and I looked at the Temple tape, and my boy is out there looking really sharp. It's a grown man, and he's putting up grown man numbers, 1,400 yards on a team that is not really giving him that much help, to be honest. He knows how to read the holes. He's hitting all the right holes. There's a way of evaluating running backs. When the play is designed to hit mid zone and the hole's there and they hit it, that's what you need. That's a safe running back, right? When the play is designed to go mid zone and it's not there and he finds another hole, that's a special player. And not only does he find another hole, he creates his own lane, right? And he does that multiple times. And not only that, he has the breakaway speed. I love what he does on the sideline. He does a lot of the tightrope, balanced. Some guys fall out of bounds, right? When they stretch the field and they get to the sideline, and they either tiptoe and fall out. My man tiptoes all the way down that sideline into the end zone. He's done it multiple times, but I'm excited about him. especially filling the shoes of Jordan James. It's going to be huge. And so I think we got a dog in him, and I'm excited to watch him.
Well, and we talked about this, I think it was a couple episodes ago or a couple weeks ago when we talked. So this isn't anything new that I'm saying, but what's so exciting about him is that he's a different runner than Jordan James was. Jordan James, great running back. I think any team in the nation should be happy to have Jordan James. Mekhi Hughes brings that quote unquote Bucky Irving factor where he can create plays when there's nothing there, which I think is there's been a lot of Oregon running backs in the history of the program that have that ability. Michael James had that ability. Kenyon Barner, you had that ability a little bit. He's someone that, when something's not there, he's going to keep fighting. The play is never done when the ball's in his hand. So I agree with you. That is, among the most exciting things, there is on the schedule going forward.
Yeah. And in order for you to have that it factor is what we're calling it. It's confidence, and confidence is practiced. It just doesn't come out of nowhere. And that's a guy that has the it factor. I think as we evaluate players, that's what you want to see. You want to see guys that go above and beyond the play. Like, oh, the play was there. He could have went that route, but he chose that route and it actually turned out better. Right? So kudos for him.
All right. My first most intriguing offseason storyline. I think many Oregon fans would agree with me on this one. True freshman DeCorian Moore. Is he the real deal? I mean, we're being sold this bill of goods. I'm not going to call it a false bill of goods because we don't know yet, but we're being sold that this is, this is a game changer coming in. I mean, he is the number one wide receiver in the 2025 class. I don't know if you saw what he did a couple of weeks ago in the Polynesian Bowl.
Oh, that one-handed
catch. Comes down, jukes two defenders, runs for a 75-yard touchdown. Highlight after highlight from this guy. And I mean, there's, it's a common belief that he's going to come in and compete for a starting spot and earn a starting spot on this offense. We talked earlier about, the play calling with Will Stein and what Dylan Gabriel could do with his arm. Dante Moore's got a cannon too. I would like to see how fast he can throw a ball and how far he can throw a ball, because him throwing it downfield to Evan Stewart, DeCorian Moore, I think is going to present a new wrinkle to Oregon's offense that we have not seen in a long time, maybe even ever seen. I'm so curious to see DeCorian in spring football, see him in that spring game, see what he can do and what he looks like at this level of play around college players, D1 players. Because, we kind of got this high on Jurion Dickey when he came in, the 5-star receiver a couple years ago. He didn't pan out. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but he hasn't panned out yet, I should say. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But DeCorian Moore, he's being propped up as the next big thing in Eugene. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, and if this is my thing about DeCorian Moore, I'm so again. This is Jonathan Stewart, not the fan.
Okay, analyst Jonathan Stewart. Okay,
analyst. So DeCorian Moore is a freshman. Everybody would love to have Jeremiah Smith, right? A freshman that comes in out the gate and just has this historical year and blows everybody out of the water, right? All right, well, if I'm DeCorian Moore, if I'm his receiving coach, if I'm his parents, I want him to just develop. I want him to develop as the absolute best player possible that he can be. And if that's putting him in the lineup year one, great. If that's letting him sit and watch for a couple games or whatever, and then all of a sudden we see him mid-season, that's great. Whatever it is, just make sure that we ain't force feeding, okay?
Yeah.
I don't want to force feed this kid. I want him to develop the way he's supposed to develop. Let the coaches, rate his talent when he gets on campus. Because right now I think everyone's just like, it's the hype button. Hype. Let's settle down, okay? Let's just make sure that we take care of our talent. And let's become a place, let's become an institution that is made to develop players.
Man, look at this new J Stu turning down the hype button. I don't know who I'm talking to.
Yeah, the hype is for the hype, man.
Yeah, the hype's fun, but yeah, I think that's a good point because a lot of hype built around Jurion Dickey, and I don't mean to say anything disparaging about Jurion Dickey. I think he would admit that his career has not gone as he planned it to so far. There's still time. He absolutely can still be a great receiver, but the hype was very big early on. It didn't pan out that way. So it'll be interesting.
And this might be his year.
It could be. Absolutely. That's one of my storylines later on we'll talk about. But I'm curious to see how fans reacted to Corian Moore in his freshman season, no matter which way it goes, whether he is the real deal or if he does take a little bit of time, maybe ends up redshirting. Who knows? I don't think that'll happen, but we'll see.
What about the other guy, Kyler Casper?
Yeah, Kyler Casper.
What are you thinking about him?
Do you want me to go with my next one? Because I had Jurion Dickey and Kyler Casper are combined in one of my takes.
Okay. Yeah. Give
go with it right now.
On Kyler.
The time is now, man. If these two guys have been hyped up a lot. Jurion more than Kyler, but Kyler is still a 6'5", 6'6" guy.
Yeah.
Real nice red zone threat. He got injured last year. I've unfortunately cut a season short, but the time is now. I mean, they've got a spot at the top of the depth chart if they want it. Got to go get it. I mean, it's not going to be handed to you here. There's a ton of competition for those spots, but I think this is the year. I'm excited to see this spring because, can they actually do it?
Do you think that the competition is between those two guys?
I would say it's more Kyler. I don't think Jurion is up as high on the depth chart as Kyler is, just because Kyler's played a little bit more, and that's crazy to say because he really hasn't played that much, but Jurion just hasn't played at all.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think they're both in the mix, really actually have a chance to compete for a starting spot this spring. Will either of them get it? I don't know. I think Kyler has a better chance just from what we've seen and heard in practice. I haven't heard too much about Jurion at all, honestly. Mm-hmm. So that would be my best guess. But like I said, if it's going to happen, it needs to happen this year. There's no more excuses, no more red shirts, You can't keep getting injured. You got to do it.
Well, you better come on, Kyler.
Come on, Kyler. Come on, Jurion. Let's see it. All right, what's your next one?
Come on, taller Jeffrey Mail.
Favorite player ever.
Yeah, love him.
He was the best.
All right, well, since we're talking about receivers here, let's go on and talk about the guy that will be throwing them the ball.
Do it.
Dillon Gabriel's replacement, Dante Moore. It's Dante Moore time, ladies and gentlemen.
It absolutely is.
So you have a guy that has been able to sit back after a year of starting at UCLA. The mental toughness, the mental awareness, and humility that Dante Moore had to basically, embrace, I think is going to pay off dividends. Sitting back, learning from a guy like Dillon Gabriel, the things that he did right, the things that he did wrong, being in those meeting rooms, seeing his leadership style, his skill level, his confidence, how he, how he, convicts the room, how his presence in the huddles, all the things he's been able to sit back and learn from one of the greats in all of college football. You know what I'm saying? This is a guy that Dillon Gabriel is historical.
Holds records.
You understand? Broke records. Mm-hmm. So how did he do it? He stayed consistent. Okay. And he never got low on himself when he was at his low either, and there's conviction in that. So I'm excited to see this kid play and play with the mindset that he is the guy. Mm-hmm. It was cool to hear what Tez Johnson had to say about him. Yep. Potential Heisman candidate next year.
He said he will be a Heisman finalist next year. It's I know it. He will be.
And if that's the case, then boy, Tez, you got a scouting job down the road. Be a GM.
Yeah.
But but I'm excited that we have a quarterback because obviously, in order for you to win, we've realized you got to have that guy and not just a guy. I'm not talking about a jag, right? I'm talking about the guy. Yeah. Okay. So Dante Moore, it's your time. It's time to shine, baby.
Well, and much like Decorian Moore, it's been fun to see how the hype has built over the last month because, like you said, it started with Tez down at Rose Bowl Media Day saying, "Oh, this guy is incredible. He will be a Heisman finalist next year." And then, other players have come out and sort of like posted pictures of Dante to their Instagram story, like, "Oh, this guy is the real deal. Number 5 is the real deal." Like the hype among the players is building a ton. And then Oregon posted a picture of Dante at practice the other day where he's just like standing in front of everyone on like a bent knees, just arms are out. It's like, I don't think you could get like more candy to a fan base. Just like that's everything that they wanted. The Oregon fans just ate that up because it's like, yes, this is our guy. This is the next guy to take over. And it's, I know he's technically a transfer quarterback because he did, spend the 1 year at UCLA. I don't think he's going to be remembered in Oregon as a transfer quarterback because he did commit here as a freshman. Then he went somewhere else for 1 year, came back and developed here. I think Duck fans are so excited to have one of their own, a homegrown, home-developed talent, not someone they just rented out of the transfer portal to come and lead their team. And it feels like he's that different mold of quarterback where he's not a Bo Nix or a Dylan Gabriel, and he's going to run for, 80 yards at a time when given the chance. He's more of a pocket passer, field general, can dissect a defense and just
I like that. Field general?
Yeah, field
general. That's boy.
And so that's what he brings to the table.
Quarterbacks. I want field generals.
Exactly. I think that's what he can be. So yeah, I agree with you. I think if we're being real, this is probably the most intriguing thing this offseason, and just seeing what Dante Moore can be, what he can do, and just seeing, what this new era brings for Oregon.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, we've talked a lot about the offensive side of the ball, so let me take it over to the defensive side of the ball and ask this question. Just how good is Mateo Uyunglele going to be?
He's very good.
He is very good. How good is he going to be? Is he going to be like a top 10 draft pick next year? Like that's what I'm super intrigued to see this year because, man, we've seen a lot from him and he is really freaking good. But, I'm just curious to see how much better he can still continue to get.
If he just continues to stay healthy, and I have full confidence that Tosh will be able to, or defense coordinator.
Tosh Lupoi.
Yeah, Lupoi. I have full confidence that he's going to be able to figure out ways to help him even more, right? Because the problem is when you have a season like he had this year, that means everyone is going to be like alert, right? Alert mode. The antenna's up. How do we make sure he's not as impactful as he was last year? So I think when you have a good defensive coordinator that realizes he has a pretty good like player on his team, he's going to build around that. You got to build around that. And so I think he has not tapped his ceiling. And I'm excited to watch him because he came into his own this year under radar a little bit. With the injury to Jordan Birch. And he just basically just said, "Hey, it's finally my time to shine."
Yeah, I'm here. I'm going to take over.
Yeah, he understood the assignment and he just basically leveled up. And so I'm excited for him to, next year it's basically another opportunity. It's like, hey, I'm the guy now. So now I get to elevate myself even more.
And you said the right thing. It's leveling up. This is a guy that as a true freshman, we don't see true freshmen play at Oregon very much under Dan Lang. This is a guy that couldn't keep off the field as a true freshman. He leveled up going into sophomore year and was one of the best players, if not the best player on the defense for a lot of the year. How much is he going to level up this offseason? That's what I can't wait to see.
I honestly think he was the best defensive player last year over Jordan Burch.
Him or Jordan Burch, I think that's a really good argument. And because of Jordan Burch's injury and him off the field, the way that Mateo stepped up, I mean, incredible. And I just, I think the ceiling is still so much higher for him. And I can't wait to watch him this offseason in spring football, see how much he continues to grow.
Yeah. Protect that man.
Yeah, please, at all costs. All right, your next one. This will be your third one. Let's do 2 more each.
Okay. Offensive line rebuild.
Okay, very important.
Very important. Can't go anywhere if you don't have an offensive line.
We saw that in the first 2 weeks of the year.
Yeah. You got to make sure that rotation is solid. So whoever it is, protect all of them. Okay, yeah. Coaches, they either have it or they don't. No, but Isaiah World,
your guy,
6'8" monster. Good riddance. Do you understand what that has to feel like for a defensive end rushing the quarterback?
Not easy.
This is your blind side. Do you understand? The blind side is basically like, he's like a 360 surveillance camera.
It's your security guard.
Yeah, he's got all the things. He's got all the tools. And it's all in that 6'8" frame. I'm very excited to see him step on that field wearing the Oregon uniform. Great addition. Obviously, just getting the cream of the crop right out of the portal, and it's no mystery. As far as some of these positions, it does require experience, especially if you want to get things going right out the gate. And I love the aggressiveness there. Hopefully, he pans out and he stays healthy. Emmanuel Pregnon.
Yep.
Another guy, experienced, right? So, these guys that come into this, this program, they have some shoes to fill. But I think they'll get the job done. Keep the quarterback upright and clean.
Yeah, I think so. There's a really good mix of transfer portal guys, the cream of the crop, like you're talking about, but then homegrown guys as well. Because you still have, you got Poncho there at the center. You got Dave Iorly competing for a spot. You got a lot of, younger guys, hopefully, competing for a starting spot. So,
but you know what is good for these younger guys to have these older guys come in there, right? It's basically developing a good relationship as far as the competition, but also mentorship, right? Like, hey, look, this is how I did things. This is how you should do them. Try this. Hey, this is how I work on my hand placement. Just certain little things that you can get from a vet, from different coaching, different, background, that these younger guys get a chance to, be an understudy of.
Yep. All right, I think you are going to enjoy my next one. Okay. Dwan Riggs, Bucky Irving 2.0. This is the nickname that we've been hearing a little bit about from some of the players. Noah Whittington called him that earlier this year. We kind of got a taste for what he can do. He's got that it that we were talking about.
He got that spice
with Bucky Irving. I mean, he's got a little burst. He's got a little agility. He can get out and make plays. And, we saw him. I think he had 11 carries for 81 yards as a true freshman. So once he gets more opportunity, I want to see what he's able to do because, he doesn't have crazy size. He doesn't have crazy speed, but just like Bucky Irving doesn't have that. Bucky Irving was, ridiculed in the combine because of his size and his speed. But look what that matters because he is in the offensive rookie of the year conversation. So Dwan Riggs, man, I think that there's a lot of excitement about what he can do with a bigger role in Eugene.
Yeah. I think, to be honest, out of all the 3 running backs last year, he was, in my opinion, the most talented one.
So you're saying among Jordan James, Noah Whittington, him, and probably Jaden Lamar too, but yeah.
Yeah, as far as like the talent level, right, and the ceiling, again, it's about that gap.
Yeah.
Like, what can we do with this gap? We can do a lot. You start thinking to yourself, man, we can make a. You talk about Bucky Irving, like there's some other guys in Oregon that we can talk about. You know, I ain't gonna get there yet. He has to pay the piper.
Yep.
And we have to prove it. And so, but again, I think having Mekhi Hughes there as a guy that can, carry that torch, it gives a guy like him someone to look up to, look forward to in the sense of competition, and just to be motivated. Wait, they brought another guy in here. I thought I can be the guy. Right? So that's going to be a healthy running back room.
Yep. Completely agree. All right. One more for you. Actually, maybe two. You have one on here that I don't think you're going to do, but I want you to do it. So I may make you do a second one if this is not it.
Kenyon Sadiq.
Yeah. I'm going to make you do a second one, but go with Kenyon.
All right. Kenyon Sadiq. A lot of people comparing him to Brock Bowers.
Brock Bowers.
I'd like to compare him to a guy named Evan Ingram.
Oh.
University of Mississippi.
You played with Evan, didn't you?
Yeah, played with him in New York.
Yeah.
Jacksonville now. He's a guy that just gets open, right? Mm-hmm. But not just gets open, but he has the big play ability. And we saw that in Kenyon Sadiq last year when given the opportunity. So hopefully he gets as many looks as Ferguson got next year, because I think he can be a huge component to the University of Oregon success. I mean, the ceiling's, again, not even tapped. His gap is that big. So I'm excited to see him next year because he showed up in some big moments this year and really gave the Oregon fans a lot of excitement and something to look forward to.
He's someone who I feel like confused me so much this past year because it was like, we all see it. We see how good he is. We see what happens when he has the ball in his hands. Why is he not getting the ball in his hands more? And that was one of the contentions I had with the offense and with the play calling. But
it could be a little bit of it could have been a little bit of like the offense coordinator not feeling comfortable with maybe him running certain routes and getting separation, right?
Yeah.
We know he has the speed. We know he has the athleticism and whatnot, but is he getting open, right? Is he running crisp routes? Is the timing there, right? Is he giving the quarterback the eyes, right, for him to be like, hey, I'm open, give me the ball? There's a lot of little things, a lot of nuances that maybe he didn't have, and maybe it's because Dillon Gabriel came in and it's a new quarterback and you have to learn and come into graces with the quarterback, right? And obviously Dillon Gabriel and Ferguson, they had that connection. So maybe it was just, hey, I'm the odd man out here, and I don't get the reps, I don't get the chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he's been doing that with our boy Dante.
I hope so, man. That seems like a fun duo. All right, my last one here. This is a little bit bigger picture. I'm curious to see how Oregon bounces back from the end of last year. How do they bounce back from that Rose Bowl beatdown to Ohio State? Because we talked about this a little bit. We talked about it a lot in our therapy session after the game.
Yeah.
We talked a big game all year long. And when it came to crunch time, they didn't back it up. And they kind of went silent afterwards. I mean, I've always thought, and I people have pushed back at me on this, but I think that when you celebrate after your wins and you post these cinematic recaps, all this, you need to show us what the losses look like too. I think you need to have some accountability there. So I'm just curious to see how this team moves going forward, especially on the social media side of things and just like the outward look of the program. Like, what's their vibe like when we get to August? They're ramping up, they're excited, but are they going to be puffing out their chests quite as much as they were last year? Or are they kind of in a mode where I think a lot of the fan base is, I know this is where I'm at, probably where you're at, you got to prove it now. I mean, you've been talk all you want, but if you don't prove it, it doesn't mean anything. So I'm just curious to see, we're not going to see this much in spring football. I mean, their spring football is cookie cutter. You're going to see what you do. It's not that big of a hype season other than for individual players. But when we get into those summer months and we get into the preseason and the fall camp, what's the hype like? What's the messaging like for this team? How do you bounce back? And just kind of what vibe do they have? Is it an angry? Is it a confident? Is it a, kind of a quiet and cool, calm, collected? What's that vibe like for them? That's what I'm really curious about.
Yeah. Okay. I have a public service announcement to make.
Okay. These are always fun.
So, Oregon fans, I know we are tapped into our feelings about the history of being disappointed, right? Going through a season and saying to ourselves, oh man, we always get to this point and then we always get upset. Right? That's the narrative.
It's accurate.
Now, let me tell you something. There's a difference between the history of Oregon and Dan Lanning, right? It's a new day. It's a new age. This is his third football season, right? Third football season.
Will be his fourth,
yeah. Just finished his third.
Correct, yeah.
So he has gone 35-6. Ever since he stepped onto the University of Oregon campus, Oregon has been doing that.
Going up.
Mm-hmm. You can't be disappointed with that type of success. Your feelings might be hurt by how you got beat by Ohio State, and that's okay. But what you're not about to do is start acting brand new. 35-6. 2-1 in bowls. Okay, 0-1 in tournaments because it was the first one.
Yeah.
So everybody relax. There's a difference between Oregon football history and Dan Lanning. This is Dan Lanning time. And the reason why I'm saying that is because it's the first year in the Big Ten. It's the first time that we have this national coverage, this national recognition. And you couldn't have written this script any better, besides with a national championship at the end. But we all know it takes time to get to that level, right? If you look at where Oregon was this season, offensively, defensively, we were nowhere near the top in any category, really. Maybe like 2 categories per side. Maybe. We have a gap, a nice little gap of growth. And we're still doing this. And if you're a recruit, if you are a guy that is at a school thinking about transferring, if you're a high school kid thinking about, man, where I'm going to go to college at, you want to go to a school that's doing this.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to go to a school that's done this, because when you're at the top, the only way that you can go is down. Okay? Only a few times in history of football have you seen colleges go 2-peat, 3-peat, right? Alabama. Them days is long gone. Okay? Mm-hmm. Because the nature and scape of college football is changing. And so you got to get with the right programs. So Oregon fans, this is not the typical Oregon history. This is Dan Lanning time.
Yeah.
So
that's fair.
Be happy.
Be happy. We're we are fully in off-season mode and looking forward. I think we put that loss behind us.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's wrap it up there. We're going to come back next week. Hopefully have a guest on. Just talk some Oregon football a bit more. I'm working to line that up as we speak. Jay Stu, do you got anything to add? You want to talk? Let's talk some golf real quick. TGL. You watched TGL last night?
Oh yeah, it got interesting, didn't it?
It was so good. It was the best one yet.
Night and day difference from the first two. A lot of people was talking trash too the last couple of weeks.
I mean, those first few
TGLs
were
going to be
blowouts.
Trash. Yeah, it was exciting, man. One day maybe I can get on TGL.
On the show, or maybe just like playing in the building because you paid $1,000 to rent it out. Because I think one of those is more possible than the other.
I want to play golf professionally. Maybe TGL. Maybe they'll open up different leagues.
A retired athletes league.
Yeah, they should definitely do a retired football player league against retired basketball player league.
Man, you got ins at the Golf Channel. You can help set this up.
Well, if anyone's listening and has any connections,
you do. What are you talking about?
Tap in for your boy.
You do.
Hey, man.
I'm listening. I have a connection. It's you.
All right, Jonathan, make sure you tap into your connections.
You got about 6 numbers on your phone right now that you can call.
I really just need to make sure I'm just golfing and practicing golf. I want to practice golf more. I don't want to play golf. I want to practice more.
It has been, going on 6 months since I even touched a golf club.
Oh, perfect timing. Don't touch a club until April. I'll be out there in April sometime and we'll play golf. And hopefully I'll beat you.
I got to practice before then because I'm not letting the first time we play together have you beat me. That's not happening.
What's your handicap?
I mean, what was it when I stopped playing, or what would it realistically be right now?
What is your handicap?
My handicap on the Gen Index is 4.7.
Yes, so that means you'll probably play like a 3. You know how it is when you lay the clubs down, like, I haven't played in so long. Like, wow, I had the best round of my life.
I'll play like a 3 for about 9 holes, and then I'll play like a 16 for the back 9.
All right, so averaged out, that's about a 9. That's good.
What are you?
I'm a 12.
Okay.
So don't practice. Even it out.
We'll do this. This will be fun. I need to go get the range soon. If I got this on the docket. All right, let's close it up there. You can check out more of my work at duckswire.usatoday.com. Follow me, Zachary C. Neel, on Twitter. Follow J. Stew on Twitter at JonathanStewR1, and make sure to check out the Believe in Panthers podcast and the Stew and Crew podcast. For myself, Zach Neel, for my co-host, Jonathan Stewart, we'll talk to you guys next week. Until then, take it easy.